Shakyamuni Buddha's life. In the Lotus Sutra, Chapter 2, Expedient Means, the Shakyamuni Buddha said to Shariputra,
"The Buddhas, the world-honored ones, only appear in the world for one great cause and condition."
For countless kalpas, Shakyamuni Buddha diligently cultivated the Bodhisattva path, perfecting the 6 paramitas, unwavering in vow and vast in compassion, seeking only to liberate all beings. Having perfected merit and wisdom, the Bodhisattva abides in the inner court of the Joyous Heaven as Bodhisattva Narayana, also known as Huming, guardian of lights. He holds the station of one birth remaining, preparing to manifest his final descent into the world to attain Buddhahood. He contemplated the land, parents, timing, and those to be saved, seeking the most auspicious place to manifest. King Suddhodana and Queen Maya, virtuous and karmically linked, were chosen as his final parents. 500 sages tried to witness the event, but were halted by divine power, knowing a great being was near. Riding a 6-dust white elephant, radiant with boundless light, the Bodhisattva descended, surrounded by devas, symbolizing his Dharma body of compassion and wisdom, now approaching birth. One night, under a sky full of stars, Queen Maya purified herself through sacred bathing. Anointed with fragrant ointments and robed in fresh garments, she retired peacefully to her chamber. In her dream, a 6-dust white elephant descended on clouds, radiating light. The heavens rejoiced, flowers rained from the sky, and divine music echoed. The next day, King Suddhodana summoned the royal astrologer. Upon hearing the dream, the sage exclaimed,
"This is a most auspicious sign. The queen bears a future universal monarcher, one who will renounce the world and become a Buddha."
From conception onward, Queen Maya required no human food. Heavenly nourishment came of itself. Hearing of the sacred womb, rulers of small kingdoms brought treasures in tribute. The queen declined with humility, having carried the sacred pregnancy for 10 full months. On the 7th day of the 4th lunar month, Queen Maya, while journeying, arrived at the Lumbini Grove, where trees blossomed in abundance and celestial beings kept watch and protection. Beneath the beautiful Asoka tree, Queen Maya stood holding a branch with her right hand. Without pain, the prince emerged from her right side, his body golden and radiant, illuminating all directions. After birth, the prince took 7 steps. Pointing to heaven and earth, he declared,
"In heaven and on earth, I alone am the honored one. All in the 3 realms suffer, I will bring them peace."
The earth trembled, flowers fell from the sky, and devas rejoiced. The Naga kings, brothers in form, bathed the prince, one releasing warm water from the left, the other cool water from the right. Hearing of the prince's birth, King Suddhodana joyfully led the assembly to welcome him. The sage examined the prince and named him Siddhartha, accomplished in virtue. Auspicious signs descended from the heavens, and 32 auspicious marks appeared. Lotuses blossomed in the ponds, trees flowered of themselves, heavenly nectar rained down, hidden treasures revealed themselves, and all things dwelled in harmony. The people felt peace and auspicious joy in their hearts. King Suddhodana invited the sage Asita to examine the prince. After quietly observing him for a long time, he burst into tears. The king, surprised, asked, "What was wrong?" Asita replied,
"There is no doubt he shall attain Buddhahood. I am too old to hear his teaching, but may those of the future be delivered by his Dharma."
The king built palaces for each season, filled with treasures, music, and delight. Prince Siddhartha was wise and revered, versed in worldly and spiritual knowledge, yet his heart remained unsatisfied. The king arranged for the prince to marry the virtuous Princess Yasodhara in a grand royal wedding. Though surrounded by love and honored with family joy, the prince's compassion for the suffering world endured. Troubled by doubt, the prince rode beyond the palace gates. At the east gate, he saw an old man bent and frail. At the south, a man racked with disease. At the west, a corpse, cold and silent. Finally, at the north gate, he saw a monk peaceful, serene, radiant. Stirred deeply, he asked, "Is this the fate of all? Will I too grow old, fall ill, and die?" Under a moonlit night, the prince awakened. Worldly glories but due, he vowed to renounce and rode out on Kanthaka with Chunna, beginning the path to awakening, never to return. In the forest, the prince cut his hair, donned robes, and renounced the throne. He studied with renowned masters, attained deep meditative states, yet found them incomplete. He then undertook 6 years of austerity in the snowy mountains. His body withered, but his vow endured. King Suddhodana had sent 5 attendants to protect him. Moved by his noble conduct, they became companions on the path. After 6 years of extreme asceticism, Siddhartha realized that neither indulgence nor self-mortification led to liberation. He bathed in the Naranjana river and accepted milk rice offered by the herdswoman Sujata. Renewed in strength and spirit, he resolved to follow the middle path. The 5 attendants doubted him, thinking, "He has abandoned his vow and returned to indulgence." Without a word, they departed. Siddhartha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, vowing not to rise until awakening was attained. That vow shook the realm of the demon king Māra. In a nightmare, Māra saw his palace crumble and his demon army scatter. He knew Siddhartha was about to become a Buddha. In a panic, Māra rushed to stop him. First, he sent his daughters, magical, dazzling beauties, with music and dance to tempt the prince. But Siddhartha sat calmly and said,
"Why have you come? These beautiful forms are nothing but foul illusions. Please leave."
Instantly, the demon girls turned into old, bent hags and fled in shame. Furious, Māra ordered his massive demon army to attack. Fireballs, poison blades, sharp arrows raining down from the sky. But as they came close, they all transformed into fragrant lotus flowers, gently floating through the air. The demons were stunned, terrified, and fled in all directions. After 6 years of ascetic cultivation, Siddhartha completely eliminated all coarse and subtle defilements, along with deluded thoughts and attachments within his mind. When the time came that all afflictions were fully extinguished and wisdom brought to perfection, the darkness within his heart was entirely dispelled, and the light of inherent wisdom fully manifested. As his meditative power matured and all conditions ripened, he beheld a bright morning star in the stillness of night. In that moment of direct resonance, he awakened in a flash of insight. He realized the Dharma of no arising and no ceasing, a state of non-obstruction, free from grasping, and crossed to the other shore of nirvana and liberation. He attained Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, the supreme, perfect enlightenment, the fruition of Buddhahood. At that moment of awakening, he proclaimed,
"Marvelous, marvelous. All beings on this great earth possess the wisdom and virtuous qualities of the Tathagata. Yet, because of deluded thinking and attachment, they fail to realize it. If they would abandon delusion, they would awaken to the innate wisdom, wisdom that arises without a teacher, spontaneously present, and everything would be fully revealed."
After attaining enlightenment, the Buddha, Shakyamuni, first traveled to the deer park to find the 5 former attendants who had left him earlier to continue their ascetic practices. At first, the 5 had agreed among themselves not to rise and greet him. However, upon seeing the majestic presence and perfected merit of the Enlightened One, they were moved and instinctively went out to receive him. There, the Buddha expounded the 4 noble truths: suffering dukkha, its origin, its cessation, and the path leading to its cessation. This was the occasion of the first turning of the Dharma wheel. From this moment, the triple gem came into being: the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, the Dharma, the 4 noble truths, and the Sangha, these 5 bhikkhus. For 49 years, Shakyamuni Buddha taught the Dharma, journeying across many lands, opening countless Dharma gates to guide all sentient beings. At the bamboo grove of Kalandoka in Ryogra, by the pond of dew, the Buddha expounded 16 assemblies of the Prajnaparamita Sutra. He later taught the Mahaprajnaparamita Sutra and the Lotus Sutra, among many other Mahayana scriptures, on Vulture Peak in Rayogra. His teachings, like nectar, nourished those of superior, middling, and lower faculties alike, enabling those who heard them to transform afflictions into awakening and to realize the nature of mind. Through his impartial compassion, the Buddha not only liberated his parents of this life, his relatives of countless past lives, and the beings of the 6 realms, guiding them from suffering to peace, he also left behind teachings that would plant the causes of liberation for sentient beings in future generations. Throughout his 80 years of life, the Buddha tirelessly guided all sentient beings with whom he had karmic connections, those who were ready to be liberated, bringing them across the shore of suffering to awakening. At the end of his life, in Kusanagari, beneath the twin sala trees, the Buddha lay on his right side upon a rope bed, entering Mahaparinirvana, the great final nirvana, demonstrating the peaceful passing of the Tathagata. At that time, many disciples, as well as guardian deities and nagars, gathered around him in solemn reverence. The Buddha's life of teaching began with the liberation of the 5 ascetics, led by Kaundinya. As he approached Parinirvana, the final one to be liberated was Subhadda. Subhadda was formerly the head of a non-Buddhist sect, but upon hearing the Mahaparinirvana Sutra from the Buddha, his mind awakened, defilements were extinguished, and he attained the fruit of arhatship. Even in Buddha's final moments, the world-honored one compassionately entrusted the Sangha, saying,
After my passing, let the Vinaya be your teacher.
He consoled the assembly, teaching,
All conditioned things are impermanent. Meetings must end in separation. Do not give rise to sorrow. This is the nature of all worldly phenomena. Be diligent, seek liberation swiftly. With the light of wisdom, extinguish the darkness of delusion.
Having given his final instruction, the Buddha entered Samadhi, and from deep meditative concentration, he peacefully passed into nirvana. At that moment, flowers withered, trees broke, the sun and moon lost their radiance, and both humans and celestial beings wept in grief and fear. Yet even this, his passing, was the Buddha's final teaching. All phenomena in this world are impermanent.
Hi everyone, I'm Franco. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Hi everyone, I'm Janetto. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and don't forget to share it with your friends.